How's it going, everyone? It's James. Wait, I mean Artifact. I forget my own name these days. It's terrible. Today we're going to make a wicked boss Neurofunk bass. I'm going to be a little bit quick about this one because I just want to give you a little tip today. Let's have a quick listen to the loop I've made. Now this is after I've done some post-processing. I've created a little lead sound and I've just made a Patreon tutorial on all this like special effects stuff. So if you want to subscribe and check out like some of my extra special tips, definitely feel free to do that. Link is down below. But I'm going to talk about the Disruptive bass patch which I made. Also the preset will be on Patreon, but let's have a look into the patch and you can follow along and make it yourself as well if you like. And on its own it sounds like this. So I think it's quite nasty, and I was like, yeah, I want to make this kind of future neuro kind of disruptive electronic weird kind of bass sound, and it's actually quite simple what I've done, so I'm going to quickly explain to you. So let's go right from the beginning. We have oscillator 1, solar powered. It's a preset on the wavetables here. I've just turned up the position of it a little bit. And then we've got this random amplitude setting on, and the frequency modulation is set to oscillator 2, which is coming in hot with the basic shapes sine wave, which we've actually detuned a little bit. So we have like this kind of weird kind of stereo effect going on as well now. But it doesn't sound that great yet, so let's add in number 3. And this one starts to really bring the sound together. And what we actually have here is it's just the initial wavetable. So it's like a saw, but we've used the smear function to bring out a bit of an extra character to it. This smear one is really great and in Vital. And then both of these though are ring modulating with the sample, which is white noise. So that brings in that higher texture. I've talked about this a few times already, but it really makes a big difference to get like a bit more natural noise in your sound. And who doesn't love white noise in 2021, right? We've actually pitched up the sample here 12, the white noise, so it's a little bit higher than it normally is. And that kind of just helped to blend it in with the oscillators. And we turned down the level of it because I don't want to hear the actual white noise. I just want to hear what it's like mixed with these two oscillators. Then for the modulation, very, very simple. Just one LFO, and it's just sort of just slowly going up. So it's just a boom, boom, boom. And we've mapped that to a number of things, specifically the frequency modulation. It's going up a little bit, so we get a bit of extra character from the sound. The amount it's timesing with the sample on these oscillators is going up, and also we're reducing this smear. So it's just a number of different things to just provide that movement into the sound. Now if we move on to the effects section quickly, this is where it becomes a little bit more interesting, because if we turn all of these off, it's nowhere near as loud and bright and punchy. So let's just whack these back on. Let's start with chorus. This time it's actually sounded nicer when I had the mix up. So I've turned up the mix and then we bring it back. So when the LFO goes up, the chorus is coming down. So we start with a chorused sound and we end with a less chorused sound. Just kind of worked in this case. Sometimes I do it the other way, depends on the sound. This one, it sounded cool when it was like chorused at the beginning. Then we go into the phaser, which is, I'm using it kind of almost like a filter. We're like bringing up some of these frequencies in the low mid range, and then by poking those up and then throwing them into distortion afterwards, we're like going to change the way that the shape of the sound is going to happen stuff, you know. So it's emphasizing what we're doing in the phaser on this distortion, right? You know, could obviously turn it up a lot higher and we get an even more like kind of weird, nice vocal effect, which could also be cool. You could use that as another like variation, for example, just turn the mix up here. But for this one, brought it back down, and that's just mixing up with the LFO as well, and it's going into this hard distortion, which is then providing that character and bringing all that noise and kind of gluing everything together quite nicely. Touch of reverb on the end, a little bit of mix, turn the size down, turn the time down, Bob's your uncle. There is your patch, which is the Disruptive bass. Very, very simple. Nice, like weird, interesting oscillator. Mix it in with a sine wave for a bit of that bass power. Then put in this kind of saw wave for some extra harmonics. Blend them all together with some white noise. Smear the sample. Put them all through some modulation. Chuck on a few effects. Play in a really simple bass groove. Bounce it out, put some special effects on that we keep for the Patreon. And we're ready to go. 2021, let's do it. All right, guys, I hope you have had a decent week. This is going to be my last sound design video for this week. I have a release coming out on Sunday. Check it out. It's a collaboration with a famous beatbox artist. It's kind of a halftime tune, so really excited to share that with you guys. And I'll be back next week with some more sound design tips and all that kind of good stuff. Leave me a comment down below if there's anything specific you want me to like go into or make. I'll try and do that for you. And yeah, enjoy your weekend, guys.